All right, man. Go for it. You
Cool.
said Justin Khan quote was like a good place to start or
Yeah, yeah.
get
I
off
think it
of.
was Justin Khan that said that like first time founders focus on product and second time founders focus on distribution. And like I definitely felt that where when we were building that virtual event startup, like we're so focused on building the product and like sure we talked to users and everything, but like after we built it, you know, we didn't have the people that actually wanted to like use it. And like I'm like, okay, finding those like customers will be a huge uphill battle.
Mhm.
Whereas, if we start with distribution, we have all these like customers already. Even if we build something more mediocre, like if they trust us, then they're going to be using it. And now we have enough scale to like further improve the product.
But how do you get distribution without getting a product? I'm just curious. Like, how would that work? Like, how would you go about that now?
Yeah, so that's exactly what we did for Smoothie, where we
Uh-huh.
said, look, like we gotta let's think about distribution. How can we build distribution first? And a good way to do that is actually through content, whether it's through a
Mm.
podcast, through YouTube videos, or in our case, a newsletter. And we had no idea what the product would be. We knew that eventually we wanted to build a product, but we're like, okay, let's
Ooh, very interesting. So you straight up started with distribution. Like, so
yeah.
that, so I thought Smoothie, like the newsletters, was the product. That's actually like you guys focusing on distribution.
Yeah, yeah.
Whoa,
That's actually what a lot
interesting.
of people think. They thought,
Uh-huh.
we newsletter was our end goal, and I was like, no, like newsletter is the beginning. We'll figure out the product later. Once we talk to our audience and get to know them, see what's important to them. Maybe the first initial set of content that we start with does not resonate with them. Then it doesn't make sense to build a product around that. Let's figure out that content and audience piece first. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that was like our learning from the virtual event one, even though it's technically a failure. I think I think it's Scott Adams that says I think it's him that says like uh fail upwards or something, or like grow as you fail. So it's like, yeah, as we were messing up, it's like we learned a lot from it. It's like, okay, how can we apply? So then yeah, we started off actually with like a newsletter where we want to teach and share startup ideas with founders. We're like, we want our audience to be startup founders. So we started doing that. And that kind of picked up. But like one thing we realized was that like most of the content that we were writing was around crypto, just because there's so much innovation happening there. People are really excited about it. So like more than half of our content was about crypto. So we're like, hey, how about we just make it all about crypto? So then we switched to that, and like it just resonated with people more. Like another interesting thing is Lenny Richitsky. He has like this like startup newsletter, and he basically says, when you're entering a market, like start with a wedge, start very niche, and then expand afterwards.
Mm.
So we're like, okay, how about like we're really broad with all startup ideas. Let's just go into like crypto content.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's like
so
the
we started doing that.
Uber kind of like um with a it's called like I read a book from this guy from MIT who talks about like a beachhead market. So it's kind of like, when warships are taking over like a territory, they'll start by taking over a beachhead, so like an area of the beach, just
Mm,
just there, and focus on that first, and then they'll start
yeah,
expanding, kind of like expanding outward. So you're pouring like the wedge, kind of like, I mean, just like niche, very focused on a niche, right? Um,
yeah, and
I'm curious too. Like I had one question before it slips my mind.
yeah, yeah.
Um, is so then like what do you out of all the crypto content, like what are people resonating with the most? And like specifically, what type of crypto content do you see people are like, whoa, like,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's what we've been learning as we've been writing content. Like one is for sure NFTs. Like people love NFT content so much right now.
Mm.
So we've been at first we had like an article on like, what to look for when you buy an NFT, and it did pretty well. And then we said, okay, how about NFT utility? And that one like blew up. So
Mhm.
then like now we're doing like, how to create your own NFT, how to do NFT marketing. And like we don't only focus on NFTs, like we do other stuff, but we know for sure NFTs work. Another one is like lists, right? So like I understand why BuzzFeed did so many lists. So like, okay, instead of, hey, here's how NFT utilities work, how about here are 14 NFT utilities you should know. And then
Mm, yeah,
like that type of
that's a
content
big
like
one.
blew up.
Lists, and
Yeah.
like the odd number list too, like 5, 7, 9, something about them I read as well. But yeah, when we were making videos, like when I was making videos, like we would go for the BuzzFeed style of like 7 different ways that 7 things that engineering or business students say, for example. So like there's something about that people really
Yeah,
like.
like people love
Um,
it.
mhm.
Um, so yeah, we started doing content. We got pretty good at content. I ended up focusing a lot on distribution too. So it's like in the beginning, you don't have an audience. How do you get people to know? You post in like WhatsApp groups, like Discord channels, did partnerships with other newsletters to share audiences. Um, and then like this is kind of where we, got to the point where, we're talking to our audience, we're hosting all these Twitter spaces, getting to know them. What is like that product part? And we realized that a lot of people in our community were building stuff, and they're like, can I share my project with your newsletter? We need some like distribution. Can I get some early feedback? Like, can you give us your thoughts on this? And then we had our actual readers being like, hey, what is the next NFT or next DAO or tool that I should get to know? So then we're like, all right, how about instead of us being at the middle of that, like we create a platform for that. And like
Right.
we launched on Product Hunt as a newsletter, and that was super helpful. And I was like, man, a product hunt for crypto would actually be really useful and solve this problem. So then we
Huh.
started, the, working with this idea. Like we had so many other ideas too. Like we're like, should we launch our own NFT? Should
I,
we
I
like?
guess it kind of does relate to what you did at Sensor Tower in some way, right? Like market research and like in some way, there's a lot of research you did, right? In Sensor Tower, would you say?
Sort of. I feel like it was probably closer to Kickstarter. Like the experience of like launching my card game on Kickstarter, because then
Uh-huh.
it's like, dude, like I had no distribution. How do I get strangers to, buy and be excited about this thing? I have to launch on this platform. All these other projects are launching. They get extra exposure. So then like the Kickstarter experience led to us launching our newsletter on Product Hunt. And then that experience gave us this idea of like building a product hunt for like crypto. Um, and even like little things like the initial drop shipping thing when I messed up on all those Facebook ads, I took all those learnings and applied it to Smoothie, and now we like run Facebook ads on Smoothie as well, just like getting free credits from my old coworkers at Facebook, and trying to optimize there. um, but basically, yeah, we decided to build this product on for Web3. um, it's called like Smoothie Awards, so it's still under the Smoothie. And we said, hey, like let's try raising money. And I just had a bunch of learnings from failing and trying to raise money with the previous startup Bonfire. So took those learnings. This time we actually ended up raising a round, so we raised our pre-seed round, and now we're in the stage of like building and hiring. But yeah, all in all, to say, failed as I went, learned a lot, and continuously trying to apply. And I'm sure I'll continue to fail as I go too. But yeah, that's just I got so used to failing.
Nice. That's good. And like it's good that you seem like fairly anti-fragile. Like your failures actually make you stronger rather than like cripple you and you're like, okay, I'm actually never gonna do that again. Um, so I mean, like, I'm curious about like the process of raising. How does that go for your pre-seed? Like, was it kind of like more friends and family, or was it like did you go institutional, or like how does that really work?
Yeah, so we have a mix of angels and funds right now. We didn't go the friends and family route, and basically, like, I guess where do I start? Yeah, so the goal was to raise between like 500K to a mil, and we basically had 4 different channels to just talk to a bunch as many people as possible. Because like I think part of it is like perfecting your pitch, perfecting your story. The other one is it's a numbers game. So just like to talk to enough people.
Mm,
So we are part of like this crypto demo day sort of thing where we pitched to like 50 plus investors. A lot of my friends helped us introduce to like investors that they know. I DM'd a lot of people on Twitter. Twitter is literally like my best friend right now.
right.
Um,
What was the so at the end of the day, like proportionally, where would you say like the money ended up coming from?
I'd say around half came from that Coinless demo day because they did a big marketing push, saying, "Hey, here's our demo day, batch," and
Uh-huh,
like a lot
uh-huh.
of people reached out from that.
Okay.
Um, I'd say maybe like 10-20% actually came from our newsletter. So like when you start with audience, you get hire from them, you can raise money from
Huh.
them, right?
Haha.
Like literally
Yeah,
everything happened from it.
that's a good one. I feel like people
Yeah,
don't talk about that enough, actually. Like
yeah,
like your audience as a network,
dude,
like your
it's
user base
literally
as a network.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we did that. I'd say the remaining were like kind of like stragglers, like intros from friends, and then a little bit of like me just DMing people directly. Um, but yeah, that's kind of the breakdown.
And the demo day, was it like how big was the event and how much prep did you put in for it? Like
Um,
how many, let's say, like people on display, or like maybe as a measurement?
yeah, so there were 40 to 50 investors on the call.
Mm,
And there were 7 companies, and we were one of the 7. And it was all
mm,
virtual.
mm,
So yeah, we just prepped like in terms of like doing as many pitch practice as possible. We actually like pitched a couple investors before that, perfected our story, like got our slides down, and then and actually, when we pitched, it was so bad because like our screen apparently froze and no one told me. So it was on our title slide the entire time and
oh
nobody saw our entire
no.
pitch deck. Yeah, it happened to 2 of the companies and we happened to be one of them. So it was really like discouraging, but people were still fascinated by like what I talked about. So based on like what I said,
That
um,
says something. That says something, you know?
yeah, I was like, dude, I can't believe that actually worked. Um, and
Nice.
then yeah, they did their big marketing push, so like they had like their PR teams and whatever, so investors kind of reached out to that too.
Mhm.
But all in all, I ended up speaking to like over 100 investors, like 100 separate calls.
Wow. Over the course of how many months?
The calls were maybe within 4 weeks.
The calls were within 4 weeks.
Yeah, so on some days I had like 8 investor calls, like back to back to back
Whoa.
to back. Yeah,
That's
so
wild.
it was a huge grind, and it was like super stressful because I'm like, dude, if we don't raise this time again, then like sure we'll start over. It'll just be like really really discouraging, but like we'll work through it. We'll build more product, have more to show, more validation, and then we'll try to raise again.
Hmm.
But yeah, luckily we ended up making it through.
Nice, man. Well, congrats on that. Um, that's insane. 8 calls, 8 investor calls a day. Whew, that's wild. That's wild, man.
Yep.
Um, yeah, I think we're at time. Probably gonna go take a break and take a walk or something. I've been just been in
Yeah.
meetings all day, but man, let's keep in touch. Good to like connect. After Shuluk, we didn't really get much chance to connect. But like I'm pretty sure now we're kind of like more like aligned or connected or kind of like in the
Yeah.
same interest base at least. So we'll definitely, at least I hope to hear from you more often, and we'll chat. We'll connect.
Dude, yeah. And I think one thing that would be helpful too, like I guess depending on like the space that you want to get into, I think one thing that helps is kind of like finding a community of people that are like similar, like-minded. So like
Uh-huh.
one thing that did help me was this thing called On Deck. Um,
I've
I'm
heard
not
of
sure
On
if you've
Deck.
seen it. Is there a chat function here? Yes. Okay. So it is a little bit pricier. Like I think when I was joining, it was like 2K, but I think it depends on like the program that you're interested in. And it's basically like it's kind of like school. You join a cohort, you talk to a bunch of people. It's all virtual. There's a good amount of people in Toronto as well. They do like meetups and stuff. So it's like if you want to go the founder route, I think they have something for that. I think they might have something for like UX or whatever other like they have like a bunch of categories now. But yeah, there's like a
Hmm.
bunch of programs like this. So or like even just like even like accelerators, like a lot of them will there's some accelerators that'll take you on like before you even have like an idea or before you even have your co-founder. So like there are a lot of resources that allow you to start like really early, even before you have much done. So yeah, definitely look into these. Let me know if you're interested in any of this stuff. It was super helpful, just like meeting other founders and seeing like, oh shit, like I'm not
Hmm.
the only one, failing here. Like everyone else is messing up too, or yeah, they're stuck and they haven't been able to do it, much in like 3 months. And it's like it helps provide more perspective and like support. So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah, definitely gonna check it out. I've heard great things, and I think it's like a school, right? You're investing in the network. A little bit of
yeah,
dedication too, but like probably the people you meet here.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and I mean you're setting a standard, right? So I'm like, oh, if you did it, then it's probably gonna be pretty damn great. Um, yeah. Anyway, we'll reconnect soon, and if there's anything, we'll ping on LinkedIn and chat. And
Cool.
yeah, nice to reconnect.
Yeah, sounds good, dude. Good catching up and good luck. Hope this helps. And
Hmm.
yeah, let's definitely chat again soon.
Yeah, we'll chat soon. Peace.
Cool. See you, man.
See ya.